There's a moment in every entrepreneur's life when you look at the spreadsheets and you think, wow, I've done so well, but it's still not enough, right? Your values are not aligned. You're wondering, like, okay, what am I going to do with all this cash? How am I going to survive? And what is the purpose? So, even if you make all the money in the world selling travel or doing whatever else you want to do, if you don't have a purpose, then it's not as fulfilling and you're looking for the next step, right? What's next on your agenda? And in today's episode, I want to talk about finding your purpose, right? The power of purpose and finding value in the work that you create, whether that be for selling travel, packaging vacations, talking to your clients, creating awesome events. Hopefully you stay tuned and listen. Today, hi everybody. So my name is Jeanie Colclough. I'm the owner of Riveting Trips. We are a host agency and a luxury leisure travel agency and corporate incentives. I am the owner of Riveting Trips. I'm also the host of this podcast. Today I'm having verbal diarrhea. I can't seem to speak. Host of this podcast, Passport to Profit, where we teach entrepreneurs in the travel industry to grow a business that they value, that they want, right? And so, as I mentioned in the opening vignette, what happens when the dollars are starting to come in, your profit starts to come in, but you're not happy with what you're doing, right? So you need to have some kind of purpose to why you're doing what you're doing. I get it. Some of us are just there to get a paycheck. But I don't think this is true for entrepreneurs, right? And the reason why I don't think that's true is if you were just there for the paycheck, you would be back at your old job, right? It's probably easy to go back to your old job. You just ask your boss for the job back. If you were a really good employee, they'll want you back. But you left that really comfortable, easy job for a reason. And that's because you want to create something that's a little bit greater than what you were contributing to before, right? Whether that be leaving a legacy for your kids with the business, having a name for yourself, creating a name for your brand in the future so that people can be proud of you or your kids can be proud of you. There's a lot of reasons why people start businesses, right? And the number one reason people start businesses is not to make money, right? If people knew how hard it is to start a business and to get it off the ground, they would not. They would just get that job that guarantees a paycheck and helps them, gives them some free time on the side. When you're starting your own business, it is not an easy task. There's a lot of things to do. There are a lot of things to do, get involved, right? So think about this. When I first started my company, Riveting Trips, like I said in previous episodes, I would say yes to everything. I would tell clients, oh yes, I'm an Italy specialist. I prefer luxury travel, but if someone wanted Disney, I would book Disney. No hate to all the Disney lovers out there. It's just not my thing. Okay. So if, Disney and let's say Carnival cruises, and I have clients that book both. So if they listen to this podcast, they'll know that that's not me. Really not. That's just not my thing. But if a client says to you, hey, why should I book that cruise through you when I can get it online for the same price? I said, well, in addition to the amenities, right, that I can give you that you can't get for yourself, my value or my purpose is to help families enjoy their time on vacation. Is that Expedia's purpose? No. My value as a small business owner is to help you enjoy your time with your family. Distraction free. You have a point on the ground, right? If something goes wrong with your vacation, you can contact me. It's very easy to get in touch with me. My clients know that, right? It's not so easy to get in touch with a 1-800 number where you might be on hold for an hour, 2 hours, or even longer, right? So I think that's illustrating that to your clients or showing that you care about them is why they want to book with you, right? What is it that they want? It's a partnership that they need, right? And then also, when you have purpose of like the kinds of vacations you want to plan or people you want to work with, it makes you more motivated to find that kind of business and to align with people who align with your values, right? So I personally like Italy. I love Italy, right? So I know a lot of the vendors in Italy. So I'm always looking for something that's a little bit different than what's off the typical tourist trap, right? Like I've mentioned the circuit before, right? Rome, Florence, Venice, or Rome, Milan, whatever. Rome, now it's Puglia. Puglia is a hot thing. So we are trying to say, even if you're going to these very often highly visited tourist sites, what can we do to encourage you to dig a little deeper, to get to know the area so that you are not just there, just another tourist number visiting that place, right? You want to have your clients come back with a bit of that culture that they wouldn't have gotten if they hadn't booked through you, right? So think about that. And then when you have your own purpose, the right kind of clients come to you and are attracted to you. They know like, oh, Jeanie excels at this. This is not what Jeanie does. She can refer me to someone else who does this, right? So that is why I would say that if your website, newsletter, whatnot, whatever kind of media you put out there shows clients the kind of purpose you want or the kind of purpose or values you have, it makes them know why they want to work with you. Or maybe they'll repel, right? Maybe you won't want to work with that person. Maybe they don't want to work with you, and that's fine. That's better the client self-selects or the lead self-selects and chooses not to work with you because there's more of you to go around to people who actually want to do business with you. There are, 60 to 80,000 travel advisors in the United States alone. I really do believe that if you do your business well and people know what your values are and what your purpose is, you will attract the right kind of clientele, right? I know that's all like a woo-woo whatnot, but it's true. Also, purpose helps you filter out or deal with burnout. You get burned out when you work on projects that you don't want to be doing. Okay, that's either hiring or taking on clients you'd rather not take on. And sometimes you have to fire a client, right? And we'll talk about firing clients later on. But purpose, if you know that your end goal is aligned with all the steps you're taking on a daily basis, then you have this sense of validity like, hey, what I'm doing is going to get me there, right? It may be a little bit difficult right now, but at least my values are aligned. So think about that, right? So I want you to grab a notebook for this next part. I'll wait for you for a few seconds. And I want you to draw a 4 square grid. Okay, sorry, I'm not doing it on the Zoom. And in the quadrant 1, I want you to write the people. And the question that you need to address is, who am I here to serve? Right? In the next quadrant, you write promise. And the question you need to answer is, what outcome do I deliver? The third quadrant, you write proof. What stories demonstrate that promise? And the last quadrant, you write profit. How do I price to sustain this mission? Okay, so let's go back to quadrant 1. People, who am I here to serve? So one of my high value markets or niches is family travel or multi-generational travel. So for my example would be families who want travel to be transformative with their children, right? Maybe yours is wine lovers. Maybe yours are people who like to do adventure travel. Maybe yours are people who are cruisers. Maybe yours are people who are foodies. Maybe yours are people who are into wellness. So figure that out. Promise. What is the outcome that I want to deliver or I do deliver? My example is it's seamless travel planning, right? You just tell me where you want to go, your budget. We get to know you and we figure it out. The proof, right? What stories demonstrate that promise? You can get testimonials from your clients. I find that sometimes older generation people do not like to take a lot of photos because they don't want to see themselves like me. I don't want to see myself on camera anymore. I take tons of photos of my children and my husband, but not necessarily of me, right? So, you might have to like coax your clients into sending photos of themselves. Getting testimonials is relatively easy, but photos is the hard one sometimes. That's social proof, right? And then the last one is profit. How do I price it? So you may have to charge planning fees. You may have to start at a minimum and say, hey, if your vacation doesn't cost X amount of dollars per day, it may not be worth my time, right? You don't obviously tell them that. Or maybe you do. Maybe you're very transparent. You say, hey, in order for this to be worth both of our times, for me to do the kind of work that you want, this vacation needs to cost this amount of dollars. And figure out what that dollar amount is for you, right? So I think, that kind of purpose, if you figured out who's in your quadrant, who you want to serve, how you're going to make money, a profitable income, it'll educate you, it'll educate your clients, your future clients too, right? So they always say this in the avatar, right? Who's your ideal client avatar, your ICA? Here's a quick formula. I help who experience what so that why it matters. So for my example is I help families experience meaningful luxury travel so that they reconnect, grow, and see the world together. So once again, the formula is I help blank is who experience blank what do they experience so that blank why is matters. Take a few minutes to figure out your target audience. Start with one, and then once you've kind of accomplished and drilled into that target audience, go to the next one, right? So think about these reflection prompts. I'm going to leave you with some reflection prompts. Prompt number 1. What patterns in your past work made you proudest? Once again, the question is, what patterns in your past work made you proudest? Question 2, what type of clients or projects drain you? And not in a good way, right? Who are the people that just kind of suck off your soul, bleed your soul dry, and don't help you and aren't valuable to you? And you can say bye-bye. It doesn't matter their budget. Sometimes people with the biggest budgets aren't the nicest clients. I'm sorry. Okay. So I know it's a dichotomy because we're saying we're selling luxury travel, but you need to figure out, how do you find those clients that are kind and have the budget that you need, right? Number 3, how would you describe the bigger transformation you create beyond the itineraries, right? Beyond the itineraries, what ways do you help people? It's an emotional journey, right? Most of travel is within that first, they say 75% of the excitement comes in the pre-planning part. So you need to figure out the psychographics. Psychographics are what motivates your client to travel, where they want to go, right? And 4, what will success look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And I'm a huge proponent of backwards mapping. If you're not familiar with backwards mapping or universal design, as a former teacher, you know that you got to start with your target goal and then work backwards, right? Figure out the steps and how to get there. So I do believe that purpose and profit can coexist. Obviously, you have to figure out what niches work for you, right? Who are you going to serve? How will you serve them? And hopefully get more referrals from those people. And I just want you to think about this. If you need to replay this episode so you can do these exercises, leave your notes in the comments. Tell me what your purpose is. Put your own call to action below. That's my call to action to you, right? So if today's episode helped you kind of determine who you want to serve, your niche a little bit better, reconnect with your why, leave a comment below, join our Facebook group, and join our host agency. All the information is below. I look forward to chatting next time. Ciao, everybody.